Right, good morning everyone. My name is Matt Earnhardt. I worked in restaurants since I was 15 years old, starting from washing dishes, classically trained chef. Worked in the back of the house for quite a while, then became in front of the house. Ran wine lists for a group of steakhouses, and for the last 21 years I've been a sommelier, wine importer, distributor. And about 2 months out of every year I'm traveling into a wine region, going actually to meet the families and hearing about their passion and what they do. Sid has brought me on board to all the properties to implement a wine training, wine education regimen. In a lot of corporate businesses, you invest in your employees because you're going to pay the employee the same amount whether they know this much or this much. And so you'd rather pay them to know this much. And that isn't really done in our industry because servers are kind of here today and gone tomorrow. They're working in this restaurant, this restaurant, this restaurant. And so it's hard for a lot of people to think about really investing hard in you guys. And that's exactly what Sid's doing. Education is huge, and really empowering you to be better versions of you. I know for myself, when people would ask me, what do you do for a living? It's like, I'm just a server, or I'm just a bartender. I mean, that's the response I always gave. What you actually never have realized is you are actually a commission-based sales employee, sales professional. So being a commission-based employee means what? It means the higher your ticket averages, the more potential income you have. And just think about a table. If you've got a $100 table, you're hoping to get 20 bucks. If that table is $500, you're obviously hoping to get a little more. So what we are going to do in this series of trainings, there's going to be 4 of them, Wine 101, 201, 301, and 401, is teach you how to be salespeople. Sure, we're going to educate you on the wine, but it's really difficult for someone to come and sit in here and you sell them 2 steaks for dinner to get their check average higher. That's pretty tough. But you can sell them a bottle of wine that's worth 3 or 4 steak dinners. And it's all about check averages. Doesn't matter how we get there, but it's the easiest upsell, and people will thank you for the upsell because they're going to have a better experience. Do you know how long it takes a teacher to get a raise of like $3,000, $4,000 a year? Well, first they have to have tenure. So they have to have worked as a teacher there for 10 years. And then their increase every year doesn't even cover the cost of inflation or the cost of living. So they really, after that, really never get an increase. We're not asking you to be master sommeliers. We're asking you to suck slightly less at your job than you do today. Only slightly less. Now, what does that mean in an annual income basis? Because we don't think about that. As service staff, we don't think about that. We think about, I had a good night tonight. I made 400 bucks. Oh, it's kind of slow. I made 100 bucks tonight. We don't think about what that does annually. And so if you sold one $50 bottle of wine a night, what is that annually? Well, it's in between $2,500 and $3,000 annually. So without any exaggeration, you could very easily make $8,000 to $10,000 more over the next year if you implement these things. No exaggeration at all. That's only being slightly better. Because when you talk about your check averages over the course of a year, you can really, really rack up some money. It's why we all do this. It isn't for the company. I mean, y'all basically suck. You hate each other. I mean, come on. You do it for the money. You do it in here. You got great camaraderie with the crew, and you get to come in for a short amount of time. You take home nothing, there's no homework, and you get to make a lot of money. And so let me help you make more money. Whole purpose of what we're doing here. So we're going to go through a training of teaching you to be sales professionals. We're going to show you how to properly open wine, and we're going to talk a little bit more about wine. What you have in front of you, 2 things. First, anyone heard of Charlie Trotter? No. Okay, so Charlie Trotter, very famous restaurateur in Chicago. He's passed now, but he wrote a series of books about back of the house, about logistics, about management, and about the sequence of service for wait staff. It's used as the Bible in pretty much every Michelin star restaurant anywhere around. Since I know good and damn well you are not going to read that book, I have made a synopsis for you. This is just generalized ideas about what makes a professional server professional. And all of Charlie Trotter's restaurants, they have a camera that faces the hostess stand, and every guest that walks in the door gets a happiness score of 0 to 10. And your job as a service staff is to increase that number by 2 by the time we leave. We're in the happiness business. We're selling people happiness. They could cook and drink cheaper at home than here. And so why are they coming here? Because it's a Tuesday night and they don't feel like cooking, and it would make them a lot happier to come and have someone else cook for them. So we're in the happiness business. And so if we can make people happy when they come in the door and treat them professionally, they're going to come back in the door. And so this is just a sequence of service and generalized ideas that are implemented in Michelin kitchens all over the U.S. Now for your second package, we're going to kind of go through, tell you a little bit about what it is like to be a professional server, and then how to implement wine knowledge in that. So think about if we're all going out to eat together. Let's say restaurants close, you guys have been planning this, everybody's going out to eat. We're going to go down to, say, Zoe's in Virginia Beach or Harper's Table in Suffolk. We're going to go up to the Roosevelt in Richmond. We're going out. Like, we're going to do it up. What type of server do you want to wait on us? When you walk in the door, we're all industry people. What do you want when you go out? Do you want to walk in and your server walks up to the table, apron hasn't been washed since 1963? I mean, they flipped that thing out 13 times. Like, you know, they're vaping, hitting vapes in the corner. They're texting. They're like, you know, yeah, a little green around the gills from last night. You know, you're out partying in Virginia Beach, chasing people down. Like, I mean, really, is that the person you want to wait on you? And would you expect that person to know more about their menu and their beverage program than you do? Yes. Are you that person in this restaurant? So when that group comes in for you, are you that person? Or are you that person who, like, because we see each other all the time. And so we all show and say, man, her apron's always raggedy. Like, you know, so nasty it stands up by itself in the corner. So-and-so's shoes always falling apart. I mean, I worked in restaurants that, if you worked a double, you had to shave in between shifts. That you could not have a 5 o'clock shadow for dinner service. And so, where the chef literally could throw things at you and hit you. If you've never worked in a French kitchen, let me tell you, it's different. But here, we see each other, and we know we're not doing the right thing. We know we're like, you know, not where we should be, but we do it anyway, because like, you know, it's okay. But that guest has just a moment to judge you. When you walk up to the table, they are judging your worth. And the higher that original assessment is, the more likely you are to be on the higher end of the tip margins. And we want to like start at 20 and go up, not hope we get 20. And so if you go to the table with high net worth and you're really put together and everything's clean and you're professional and you're educated, they want you to be the captain of the ship. Everyone wants to be led. They want to come in and have a great time and not think about it. So they want you to lead them to that goal. And that's with knowledge and professionalism. And so the goal of this training is to make you that person, the person I hope I get when I go out. And I did secret shop all of the restaurants before this, by the by. It was awesome. I got to sit in Ember and be like, I really don't know anything about wine. Could you please, could you pair something with this for me? And yeah, they actually did a really good job.
That's awesome.
So we're going to teach you how to professionally open a bottle of wine. This is a one-time deal. Everyone here is going to get a wine tool that I'm giving you. So there will be no excuses when you say, I don't have a wine tool.
I found it. It was in my backpack.
I have this thing's like 5 or 6 of them.
So this is part of your uniform. This is how you make money. Is there a ticket one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So whatever you need to do to hold on to this thing, like, you don't expect anyone to buy your shoes for you, right? It's part of your uniform. Like, this is part of your uniform. This will unlock money for you. So you should bring it. I don't care if you've got to bedazzle it, make it so obnoxious no one wants to steal it. Just hold on to it. If I give you one free, every single time you will lose 400 of them because you don't care. So this is your one. You're going to need that. When you go to the table, you're going to need to know, what am I opening? So we're going to talk about that. You're also going to need one of these. The French have a sexy name for it. They call it a serviette. It is something to wipe the drips on. You are going to drip, so let's have something to wipe the drips on. You can do the over-the-shoulder thing or over-the-arm thing. Over-the-shoulder thing I don't particularly love, because if you're doing red wine, now these are dark, so they won't show them. But if you're doing this, you end up with a bunch of red drips here that the guest can see. If you're doing it here, that's up against your body, and so they don't see the drips. So I prefer this. It kind of looks old school French. So before we ever reach the table, we're going to need to know three things. The three V's: vintage, varietal, and vintner. So what does that mean? Vintage, what year was this wine made? Varietal, what grape is in it? And or the style, like Bordeaux, for instance, would be all you needed to know. You wouldn't need to know the breakdown of what grapes are in. You could just say Bordeaux. And then vintner, who made it? Vintage, varietal, vintner, the three V's. And so when we talk about, we'll start with sparkling wine. This is Franzanelli, Prosecco, DOC, from Italy. This is a non-vintage product, which means it comes from multiple years. So I would need to know all that information so I could tell the guests, because what do guests do when they order? They usually point and grunt. Mm-hmm. They say, I want that.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't read it.
like how do you know when they say, I want that you picked right? And so we're going to repeat it to the guests. Whenever you are around the guest with a bottle of wine they have ordered, the label should always face the guest. As you move around, as you go and pour them on their right side, you turn the bottle so the label faces them while you pour them. Everything, while you walk around that table, you are manipulating the bottle, and so the label faces your guest. So, oh Lord, have mercy.
It's UPS more than likely.
I thought it was
So that
totally.
was awfully
Yeah.
aggressive, right?
Yeah.
No,
they
that
do this every
happened
morning.
last week
One
too,
under the
yeah.
office.
Damn.
And I'm like,
Package.
Amazon.
They get aggressive about it. They're like, I'm delivering this shit.
That wasn't Knox. That was all the packages in there.
All right, so let's wrap it back in. Remember, don't act full. So when you are opening sparkling wine for a table,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Does anyone drive a Nissan Altima?
Parked out back?
Yeah.
I need you to move. You gotta be blocked in, please. Thank you.
Bro, the numbers are not in your favor.
he was out of breath.
And awfully aggressive.
So,
Early flush.
so when we go to open sparkling wine for a table, there's what's called a zipper around the foil. This zipper will have a little tab. This thing can be an absolute son of a bitch at a table when you are sitting there and everybody's looking at you and you're like sitting here trying to get this little thing out. So do yourself a favor, go ahead and get started at the bar or wherever it is you pick up your wine. Go ahead and get that guy started before you ever get to the table. And so that way I know I'm setting myself up for success. I'm going to go to the table. I'm going to present my wine to whomever ordered it. Repeat the three V's to them. They shake their head yes, and then I'll start opening. This is also a great time to go over your specials with the customer.
Vintage, varietal,
And vintner, it's just a fancy way of saying the year, the grape, and who made it. So we're going to remove the zipper. Now this is the part you're going to hear me say a lot. This table might be within your section, but they are paying rent to be there, which means that is their space while they are there. This is not what we do to their space. Their space is not a trash can. Their space is not a place for you to put your shit. It is not to do this or put stuff down on. That is their home because they're paying rent. And so your job is not to dirty up their home. So this goes into that nice clean apron that you washed before you came into your shift, not on the table. Now, we have a cage, a cork to deal with. So what do we do here? So this is called the key. This is called the key. We're going to move that key 90 degrees to the axis of the bottle. As soon as you start messing around with this thing, your thumb must be on the top at all times. Thumb on the top. This thing absolutely will shoot out. We had servers that we would try to haze and actually would shake bottles before they would get to them. So they go to the table and it would like shoot. I put holes through ceiling tiles. Like it will. There's 5 atmospheres of pressure in here. It's a scuba tank. So once you start messing around with this cage, thumb on top at all times. So this key, you're going to twist 7 times. I have no idea why they're 7 times, but they're all 7 times. Once you have twisted them 7 times, I'm gonna grab it and give it a little jiggle, back and forth. I'm loosening up the cage all the way around. Now, typically, I would put my serviette over top, but I want you to watch my hands so you can see it. I'm going to be pushing down pretty hard with my left hand, my non-dominant hand, and I'm going to twist the bottom of the bottle while pushing down hard. Like I can't know if you can tell, but like I'm really pushing down
It
here.
walks it right out.
And I'm pushing down and twisting the bottle.
Just like back and forth.
Yeah, just back and forth. Like it is trying hard to come out.
That's a good.
Yeah. Now, the French say that opening a bottle of sparkling wine should mimic the sigh of a satisfied woman. It should exhale, not pop. Yeah. So, it should not be boop. Because a lot of times that's when you're going to start spraying wine out. And so it should just exhale when we release our wines. Now, we do not need to present this to the customer. So this goes through an apron. Now, when we talk about it's not going to work. We talk about pouring a taste. You can hold the bottle like this. You can hold the bottle like this, thumb in the punt. If you have small hands, I guess you can do two, but it kind of looks like you're 3 years old pouring this thing. So if you know, this is an easy way. If my guest was here, I would come on their right side, pour, quarter twist, wipe, present. What that does is it catches all the drips. That little turn catches the drips and makes the drips run down this side, the back side of the bottle, which you then catch on your serviette and present. You pour them a taste because this cork is part of a tree in Portugal. It's the cambium layer of a tree. It's in between the bark and the heartwood. It's a completely sustainable, regenerable thing. And they take plugs out of this tree, and so it's a natural product. There could be bacteria that they were unable to clean out of that chunk of tree that is closing this bottle of wine up. And if that bacteria multiplies, it corks the wine. It taints the wine with a bacteria, which kind of has a wet dog smell or like moldy cardboard going on, and it has a very kind of bitter, acrid taste. And so we are pouring them a taste to say, did this happen? Not to see if they like it. So, sound good? All right, we're going to revisit that momentarily. What about these? What about screw tops? So what you don't want to do is make a fool of yourself and be out here with the corkscrew going after it. All right, and you laugh, but it happens. I'm sure everyone in here's done it at least once. So we don't need our corkscrew here. But sometimes, if you've opened these enough, you know sometimes this can be tough. They don't want to come, or the whole thing spins.
Yeah, the whole metal piece.
Yeah.
is still
So this is the thing no one ever showed you. So we open, this is actually called a Stelvin enclosure. This was developed by Dr. Stelvin at UC Davis. It actually mimics a diffusion rate of cork because cork naturally breathes. So there's a lot of technology in here, but we open, you know, like Coca-Cola. We all do it like this. This is actually meant to be open like this. You grab the foil, okay, and you twist the bottom of the bottle.
Wow.
Pops perfectly. And also, if you want to, don't do this in front of the table, but you can actually roll it down your arm and catch it in your hand. You practice that at home. You actually spin the thing off into your hand. It looks pretty cool. So we're going to do the same thing here. Pour the taste. There's nothing they can do with this. So this does not go on the table. So let's say a guest wants to take it home. You can't do this because it's considered an open container in their car. You would have to go and get a cork and jam a cork down in here, so they need a tool to remove it, and then it's not an open container if they want to bring it with them. So there's nothing they can do with this, so don't give it to them. So,
So we shouldn't keep this. So we shouldn't keep it. So like you were saying.
there's nothing that can do.
Alright, good.
You know, you can't, I mean, yeah. Once it comes off, pitch it.
What's the rule of how far the cork has to go into it?
It has to be so far in, it needs a tool to be removed, and then it's no longer an open container. And so, like, you need one of these to get it out. If you can do this and pop it out, it's an open container. So just jam it all the way down. So this is what you're going to open the most of, corked bottles. There are tons of servers who will not sell corked bottles because they don't want to open them or don't know how, don't feel comfortable. Like it's no one wants to look dumb, which is why we're doing these trainings. Nobody wants to look dumb. And so pronouncing things properly, having the knowledge to open things properly is important. And I probably 90% of servers don't open these things right. And which is fine for most guests until you have someone that knows what they're doing, and then you're like, ooh. Like, So what we need. So we need our 3 V's. So this, I'm assuming from, because this is Stag, this is Stag's Leap. This is one of mine. St. Hubert. We're gonna call it Stag's Leap. So Stag's Leap, Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles, vintage is 2022. So I would know that ahead of time. I would go and present that to my person. My person says yes. Now we're gonna go through the proper way to do this. So remember, label facing the guest. So if my label's facing my guest, I wanna start, I do not want to cut up here. I wanna cut down here. Okay, you know why? Because I can hold this entire bottle with one finger. It's super secure down here. Up here, not so much. Now, when you are cutting this foil, how many of you, looks like a T-Rex has got a hold of this thing? It's like walking all over the place over here. I mean, it's looking crazy, right? That's because you are cutting it like this, 90 degrees. What I want you to do is cut it like this. Like you were trying to reach up inside that corner, like at a severe angle. And so what it looks like in your hand is you just turn it up. So the blade should like face up toward your eyes. So I'm trying to reach up inside that corner to make sure I'm anchored. So if my label starts facing the guest, I'm gonna give it a little back and forth. Give it a little jiggle, get that cut started. Now, if I rotate 360 degrees and stop when my label faces my guest yet again, give it another little wiggle to make sure I've gone all the way around, I'm good. Now, if there's any inkling that you screwed something up or you didn't do it right, give it another quick spin. Let's just do it now, like if you're not 100% confident. Another way to know you've cut it all the way around is if when it's in your hand, see how I can spin the foil and the top doesn't move? I know I've cut this joker now. So, I'm here. All I do in one motion, I spin it all the way around and I pull up. Now, this came, but let's say it didn't. Let's say you went like this and nothing happened. Give the bottle a slight turn so you can get a new piece, grab it again. Almost 100% of the time it's gonna come the second time, if it doesn't come the first time. So now I have this super clean for our friends at home. Okay, this goes in your apron. Knife away. Now the second part people screw up, this part. Everyone thinks it goes like this, directly straight in the top. Well, these helixes have a pointy bit. The pointy bit does not face straight down. It actually faces like that. Like very severely off to the side because it's in a spiral. And so you actually start on a really severe angle. So index finger away from the pointy bit. If the pointy bit's towards your finger, you effed up. Stick it in there, give it a little quarter turn. That will allow you to kind of reset. Now it's in here. So my non-dominant hand, my left hand, in my case, does not move. My right hand is going to twist this down all the way. Now you will stop on your corkscrews right there. Like a little, maybe a quarter of the helix still out. I know this wine tool and I need a little bit more on this particular wine tool because this arm's so long. So you notice my left hand's never moved. I'm going to stop where the lever faces the thumb that doesn't move. I put my thumb on the top, thumb on the side, just like this. Thumb on the top, thumb on the side. It will come straight up if you do this. So two stages, 1, 2. Now I'm actually gonna stop right here. So you're about to come into a scenario in which you're gonna have a corkscrew, a cork, and a bottle. So you got 3 things, you got 2 hands. So this is where we get this on the table. Because you're like, what do I do? I don't have 3 hands. Here's what we do. I don't need my corkscrew after this. So I'm gonna take this nice little serviette that I've had on my arm this whole time. I'm gonna wrap the cork and I'll just remove my corkscrew. Now this can go away. Now I have 2 things and I have 2 hands. And so I can do everything standing. I again twist the bottom of the bottle. It's going to release the cork. And then this, we can present to the guest, and that looks pretty nice. Then they can grab it. Why do we present it? Because that's the first indication that maybe we've got a bacterial taint going on. And that's gonna be, oh, wait a minute, I think something's wrong with this bottle. So then I'm gonna go Same type thing. Serve, twist, and present. They're gonna do a little swirly. Smell, taste, yes, the bottle's good. Now service comes. So you're gonna go around the table to the oldest lady first, to the youngest lady, the oldest man, to the youngest man, host last, host is who ordered the wine, regardless of any of those things. How good do you think it looks if you've got like a 6-top or an 8-top and you pass by 3 of the guys on the table and take care of the matriarch of the family? How good does that look on you? You're getting 20%. I mean, remember, this bottle we're opening could be hundreds of dollars. You know, you could be getting $40 just for opening this thing. And so you need to earn that income. And when you go and take care of the matriarch of the family first, oh my God, everybody's like, oh yeah, we're hooking this person up. And so proper service goes a long way in that. So that is a quick rundown. At 201, we're actually going to get more in depth and have you role play some. So you're going to be opening it for each other. And so you got a good week to make sure you practice a little bit and try to do it right. Even when you're at home, like at the restaurant I worked at one of them was a super high volume place at the bar, and the bartenders would put like 3 of every one of our wines by the glass at lineup for the servers to open and prep for them, so then they could go. Screw tops weren't a thing back then. I was born like 100 years ago, and I sat there every lineup, stood and opened every bottle. And some of the server captains would get in like races to see how fast we could open bottles, and it's just that repetition. You know, what you don't want to do is wait till you sell that $300 bottle of wine and you're out at the table shaking like a leaf because you're terrified of this thing. Like, you want it to be so comfortable that you can do it while you're doing your specials, which is a fantastic time to do it while you're doing wine service, because it is a time suck. And so if you can go over the specials with a customer as you're doing this process because you're so comfortable with it, you're getting 2 for 1 on your time. So to wrap up today, the next part of this is I turned 20 years of being a somm into the easiest possible thing to follow I could come up with, which is names of grapes, the phonetic pronunciation, what does it taste like, and what food does it pair with. And so these are the top 20 of all the grapes to give you some sort of idea of, okay, my table ordered oysters, Sauvignon Blanc might be an option for that. And so this is the non-geekiest way I could possibly get this information across to you, and something that you can reference. Since I know how raggedy you all are, you're going to throw this thing away almost instantly. A 201 will have a QR code that you can scan, and this is available on a Google Drive as well, because I've met you people before. So I'm going to go through, and on the top 20 varietals, I just want you to hear me pronounce them. And so you can hear the proper pronunciation on the normal grapes, because if you don't know how to say Gewürztraminer, you're probably not going to sell it, because nobody wants to look dumb, and so we're empowering you to not look dumb. So here we go. Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Chardonnay, Merlot, Merlot, Pinot Noir, Pinot Noir, Sauvignon Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, Pinot Grigio. The next one is Syrah. If it comes from anywhere else in the world but Australia, it is Shiraz. In Australia, it is the same grape, but Australia used to be a penal colony, so they basically just screw everything up. Riesling, Riesling, Malbec, Malbec, Zinfandel, Zinfandel, Tempranillo, Tempranillo. It's a prolifically planted red grape from Spain. Most of your Spanish reds are going to be made of that. Sangiovese, Sangiovese. That's Chianti, Brunello, things like that. Grenache, Grenache. If Grenache is grown in Spain, it's called Grenache. They just end it with an A. Grenache. Grenache everywhere else in the world. Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Franc, Nebbiolo, Nebbiolo. That's like Brunello, Barbaresco. Gamay, Gamay. All right, here's the tough one. Gewürztraminer. It's not gay Gewürztraminer, which is what a lot of people say. It is Gewürztraminer, Viognier, Viognier, Chenin Blanc, Albarino. So after this, I've listed 20 or 30 of the popular wine regions. I'm not going to read these to you, but it is the name, pronunciation, the key grapes that are grown in each of these regions, and kind of a generalized signature style or what they're known for. Tuscany, Sangiovese is the grape, Chianti, Brunello di Montalcino are the two most famous. And so it gives you some sort of idea that if you look on a restaurant list, i.e. your own, and you say, okay, Bordeaux, I don't really know much about Bordeaux. At least you could look at this and get some sort of idea of what the varietals are probably going to be and what the style is going to be. And so as things change, and there's going to be massive changes to all the wine lists across the entire portfolio, next time we're going to try some of those changes and get you guys actually involved in that process. And so you'll get to taste some new things that will change up the list and give you some new things to sell. And so that'll be 201. We're going to do a lot more role playing, teach you how to overcome objections, actually how to size up your customer and get an idea of kind of who they are, their income levels. We don't want to judge people, but we all judge people, and kind of curtail your selling to the person. Is this, a mom that is just like overwhelmed right now and needs a glass of wine pronto? Or is this someone that is coming to spend 2.5 hours with us dining and wants to start out with first courses, mains, maybe a bottle of white to start, a bottle of red, and then a Amaro after dinner? And so, speaking of our after dinner, we changed all of the dessert wines. So I'm just going to speed through those for you real quick. So all the ports. We started out with Dow's Fine Ruby. So first off, quick 2 minutes on what is port. So port comes from Portugal. The region's called Porto. And so all port has to come from there. It is generally made with 5 different varietals, but they're varietals you don't really need to know and are tough, like Turga Nacional, Turga Franca, Tita Ruiz, Suzal. So they're 5 red grapes. They bring in those 5 red grapes. They then start fermentation for, let's say, about 2 days, 3 days. And so they're just getting fermentation going. And then the proper term is arrest the fermentation with a neutral grape spirit. What does that mean? They make basically moonshine. This stuff's fire water out of the grapes. Make a distillate out of it. And then pour that moonshine into the fermenting red wine, killing all the yeast off with the high ABV, fortifying the wine, making it shelf stable. And so it's a fortified after dinner drink made with red wine and definitely sweet. So generally the entry tier, clearly what you sell the most of, is a ruby port. So a ruby port and a tawny port use the exact same grapes. What's the difference? The ruby port is in huge barrels, like 30,000 liter barrels. Massive guys. So not a lot of surface area there. Tawny ports are in like 55 liter, like what we think of as like a wine barrel. And so a lot more surface area there. So this is Dow's Fine Tawny. This is a good pairing for like chocolate, things like that, fruit-based desserts. I'm going to have a ruby. It is going to have more of a red wine look and taste to it. More red fruit, obviously sweet, and the least expensive. Stepping up from there, and they age this for 5 to 7 years. This is Quinta de la Rosa. This is a 10-year-old tawny port. And so the average age of all of the grapes in here are at least 10 years old. Quinta in Portuguese is house. So this is the House of Rosa. An interesting particularity of this wine, it's one of only 2 houses that is female owned and female made in all of Portugal. It is very rare. In fact, up until I think maybe 5 or 10 years ago, there was only one, this one. And she's known as the Queen of the Douro. But this is a 10-year-old tawny. Now this pairing is going to go more with like nut-based desserts. This would be great with a cheese board as well. If any of you, like your mom put like the Sun-Kissed raisin boxes like in your lunch boxes, this is like that, but alcoholic. Like it's super raisiny and caramely. All right, and then for a big step up. What is this, 30 something? 24?
24.
Okay. So this is 24 shot. This is going to be something that someone's ordering it. Graham's is the top house. And so this is Graham's 20-year tawny. They actually, what Graham's does, they start at the year and go up. So this is in between 20 and 30-year-old aging in here. This is kind of the big house owned by the Symington family. I actually spent 2 weeks with Richard Symington, the owner of Graham's, going from Porto all the way up the Douro, staying with this family a couple years ago. But this in country is the most recognized. Every single restaurant has this. People order bottles of port at the table after dinner. It's really wild. Worst hangover I've ever had in my life. But your people are going to know that. Also, there's one more that's not a port. It's a Sauterne that's on this sheet. So Sauterne comes from Bordeaux, France. The name is La Tour Blanche Emotions Sauterne. La Tour Blanche, which is a Premier Cru producer. So, you know, we've got like Village level, Premier Cru, and Grand Cru. Village is like 85% of all the production of the region. Premier Cru is like 10%, and Grand Cru is like 5%, something like that. And so, here we go. So they're in the top, like 10 or 15% of the whole region. La Tour Blanche. Sauterne is the name of the style. And this is a really interesting dessert wine. It's quite a bit different than others. This is a part of Bordeaux where they've got like two rivers, the Gironde and the Dordogne, that come around a corner and meet and dump a ton of humidity right there. And so when they were planting these grapes, they would actually literally start to mold on the vine because there was so much humidity. And they were like, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? Like, we're losing all of our grapes. Well, they found out that the mold was actually a very particular strain called Botrytis. Botrytis tastes like honey. It's called the noble rot. Sounds terrible, but it is literally the grapes start to mold and rot on the vine, but the particular strain that is from this area, called Botrytis, tastes just like honey. And so it's only made in certain years where the humidity and everything is perfect. And one of the most, outside of port, it is the most famous non-fortified dessert wine in the world. And so we just, if you're not going to have that many, you might as well cover the big bases. And so Sauterne is definitely one of those. This is fantastic. The fact that the top pairing with this is actually foie gras. So foie gras with this is amazing. Really heavy cheese boards with this. If you're doing like a fromage board after dinner, kind of French style, this is a fantastic pairing with that. Nut-based things, tres leches, flans, things like that are going to be amazing with Sauterne. But it can do sweet or savory. To give you an idea how sweet this is, like a bottle of Riesling might have 30 to 50 grams per liter of sugar. This has like 300 to 400 grams per liter of sugar.
So of our 4 dessert wines, that's the sweetest.
100%, like by orders of magnitude. But what makes this so famous is this has more acid than Sauvignon Blanc. And so the acid is super high and the sweetness is super high, so they balance each other. If it was just sweetness, it would taste like Kool-Aid. Wonderfully complex. There's a reason why it's the most famous in the world. And so kind of covering your bases here, starting out with, you know, $10, $15, $25, and whatever this is. 16. And so kind of your 10 to 24 across the whole range as a digestif. I personally don't ever order desserts in a restaurant, but an Amaro, a port, a Sauterne or something, you know, as a digestif is really, really amazing. Having something high alcohol at the end of a meal actually does aid in digestion, and just having something so small to sip and not like a chocolate cake, which is going to aid in going to bed, you know, is a great way to finish a meal. So it's, again, knowing your accounts and knowing, you know, the person that sits down, are they here for an experience? Are they here to sit for a while? Or are they trying to get in and out and get fed? Yes,
Is
ma'am.
this one still served in a
It's like you're
dessert
reading my
glass?
mind. What glasses are we going
Or
to serve
should
the
it
port
be-
and
Yeah.
the Sauterne and
No, I mean-
what's the pour for the bartenders?
I mean, I love it in a snifter, but it 100% can be in a traditional port glass or something like that. I mean, I even like my ports and snifters, grandma and snifters, and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, I think port is fine, and your pour is going to be about the same. you know, that 1.5 ounces, like 1.5, 2 ounces, somewhere in there, depending on exactly what you do. So wrapping up, any questions on anything?
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
Cool. So the whole purpose of this is to like give back to you guys. So we're trying to make it worth your while, and we're asking you to get up early, you know, brave getting tickets out here, getting yelled at by some out of breath man. Like, so a lot of things could happen. We just never know. But I hope we're making it worth your while. And by the end, I mean by 4:01, we're actually going to bring the culinary team involved and have them fire dishes off the menu, and we're going to try it with some of the new wines, and so you can get the idea. And then kind of your graduating step, we're going to blind taste like a $10 bottle of Cabernet and like a $200 bottle of Cabernet, and we're going to taste them side by side to see the difference and see how you can actually upsell and see if you can identify the difference. And so this is all for you guys to kind of give back. Nobody invests in servers, and you know, I've spent the last long time of my life working in restaurants, in-restaurant restaurants, and so we're all about you guys. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.